Good morning, crab catchers, chum crafters, and corn farmers. Tag yourself below. I am Sid, and this is all fun, no funs, gaming without a budget. I am trapped in a bunker with 2,076 demos, and instead of curating them for you, I've spent the past 2 months of free time playing Farm RPG. Farm RPG does fit the concept of this channel as it is a free-to-play game and therefore great when you're on a budget, but it is outside my typical scope as it is a browser game and a mobile app that is light on graphics and heavy on tapping. Creating an account isn't even necessary, but I strongly recommend it so you can log in from any device. Content warning for a years-long gameplay arc, mechanics that fit clicker, idle, and incremental games, finicky drop tables, and a lot of inventory/resource management. In my role as a content creator, I'm faced with the challenge of how to make a visually interesting video out of a game that looks like this. In my situation as a YouTube hobbyist, I look that challenge straight in the eye and keep walking. Like, comment, subscribe. Now let's hop into the overview. Farm RPG is about 4.5 years old and has released new content and additional features almost monthly. It starts out simple and straightforward, but unfolds as you keep playing into a multi-dimensional fidget toy. I've spent time in-game daily for 2 months, and when I announced a recent achievement to one of the chat channels, a few people jokingly replied, "Congrats on finishing the tutorial." And tutorials are basically like demos, right? See, I'm reviewing a demo after all. Quests. The backbone of Farm RPG is the quests. All quests are fetch quests. Grow crops, catch fish, craft items, forage resources, and bring them back for a reward. But all quests are tied to characters in the town of Redbrook, and all quests are also festooned with flavor text. Some are bare bones. Holgar's roof is leaking. Bring him materials to make a bucket to catch the water. He will pay in silver. But many more have 50 to 200 words of story to them that build into multi-part, multi-character quest lines. To be perfectly honest, I generally didn't read the quest text, even from the jump. But while scripting this video, I spent some time going through my quest log and reading said flavor text. Not only did I end up enjoying the couple dozen I read quite a bit, some of these quests have punchlines. I also discovered that they act as a very good early game tutorial, covering both basic gameplay and quality of life features that some people might overlook. Some quests become available as you finish other quests, but the primary way to unlock new ones is to level up your skills, and our 4 main skills are farming, fishing, crafting, and exploring. Farming! Farming uses a few taps to plant and harvest crops that grow over time. Leveling up your farming skill unlocks new crops with longer grow times, but at farming level 10 out of 99, you can grow peppers, carrots, peas, cucumbers, eggplants, and radishes, with base grow times between 1 minute and 10 minutes. As I was working on this video, sugarcane was added as a level 5 crop, and that takes an hour and a half to grow. Cheers to the dev team for adding variety to early game crops. A small amount of farming XP comes from this crop growing endeavor, but the majority of XP will come from spending silver, Farm RPG's common currency, to add new capabilities and buildings to your farm complex. Buildings like an orchard to grow fruit for energy, a worm farm to collect bait, a chicken coop to raise chickens for feathers and eggs, a sawmill to generate wood, and a dozen others. Literally, over a dozen other buildings for your farm. Constructing these upgrades is great for early progress. Each time you build one, you get the influx of XP for spending silver, but you're also awarded with a little bit of gold. And once you can afford to upgrade your farm buildings to produce more of whatever they make, stone, steel, hay, worms, etc., they're incredibly useful mid and late game as well. With all the automation stations installed, your home farm is truly the core heart of the game, even if the act of farming, harvesting, and planting is just a small piece of the pie. Because just like how growing crops isn't the best way to gain farming XP, it's also not the best way to earn cash, to gain silver. Do you know what is good for making bank? Fishing. That's right, all good games have fishing. Skill number 2 is fishing, and it comes in a variety of tapping flavors. The basic fishing minigame uses worms, grubs, or minnows. Tap the shadow in the water, then tap the moving dot. Different fishing locations have different speeds and patterns of moving dot, but it will always touch the right end of the bar at least twice, so hovering there is better than chasing the dot back and forth. Obviously, this mini-game is easiest on a phone, but if you find yourself fishing manually in a web browser, making the window much smaller will shrink how far you have to move your cursor. Free tip right there. While succeeding in the dot chasing minigame is required to increase your catch streak in each area, and that catch streak boosts the fishing XP from each catch there are ways to get fish without the minigame. Fishing nets, and later large nets, collect fistfuls of fish with one tap, but the rare golden fish are too heavy and won't be trapped by them. Mealworms, however, are the one fish per worm type of bait that catches a fish with any tap in the fishing area. It doesn't even need to be on the fish shadow. Mealworm fishing doesn't increase your fishing streak, but it does allow you to spam tap to gather fish, including rare and golden fish. Biggest downside of mealworms is that they can be hard to come by before you can auto-generate them at level 60. Yeah, that number sounds big, but you might be surprised at how fast the levels pass. Another thing leveling your fishing skill will do is unlock new regions to fish in. As you get more skilled, the fish get more valuable, imagine that! But one of the most important fishing areas, especially early game, is unlocked by spending a mere 1,000 silver. It builds a pond on your farmland, and fishing there is so relaxing that you gain back stamina on top of whatever fish you pull out of the water. And what is stamina good for? Exploring! Yes, this is technically skill number 4, but it gathers you materials for skill number 3, which is crafting, and while I could have segued from fishing with nets to crafting fishing nets, I think this flow is going to be better, since the farm pond has such great synergy with exploring. Seriously, since worms are so cheap, as long as you have patience for the fishing minigame, you can have unlimited stamina. So, let's explore. Mechanically, this has a lot in common with fishing. Give tap, get resource, except there is no minigame. The minigame is inventory management, but we'll get to that. Like with fishing, as you increase your level in this skill, new areas with new resources become available. But in each new area, you'll notice that not every tap/use of stamina results in an item. Sometimes you just get a bit of a flavor text about wandering in the cave or the forest or wherever you are. That's fun for a minute or two, but once you've seen all these messages multiple times and you're anxious to get more resources, you can bribe a local guide to get things moving along. The first efficiency increase costs 1,000 silver, the next 10,000 silver, and the next 100,000, and it keeps going like that, each 10 times more expensive than the one before, but each increase grants you 1 additional unit of explore per tap. Each 10 times more expensive than the one before. I did say there were incremental type mechanics in this game. Each increase means you use 1 more stamina per tap, so while you gather resources more quickly, you will drain your stamina more quickly as well. But fishing in the farm pond isn't the only way to get that stamina back. You'll naturally regenerate some over time up to your stamina cap, or you can eat apples or drink orange juice to build up your stamina as well. Apples, 15 energy each, and orange juice, 100 each, can bank stamina above your cap, which mitigates running back and forth to the farm pond. Later exploring areas have cool rare resources like amethyst in the Highland Hills, 4-leaf clovers in the Misty Forest, carbon spheres in Mount Bannon, and raptor eggs in the Whispering Creek. But in the very first exploring area, the small cave, you'll find a lot of stone, wood, nails, and mushrooms, which are the basic building blocks of Farm RPG's crafting system. And bones, which are the building blocks of life, or in this game, soup. Crafting! Honestly, I think I saved the best skill for last. Sid, you say, it's just tapping. It's all just tapping, Bront. Gather resources, tap to combine, tap again to combine again into something bigger and better, sell for silver, or save for a quest, your pick. But if you follow my day 1 advice later in this video, you'll be doing a bunch of crafting, and you'll need to sell a lot of it off to clear up inventory space. Put a pin in that, we'll come back to it. Key mechanics of the crafting skill include the ability to favorite certain crafting recipes, which pins them to the top of the page, and also the ability to rearrange those favorites. This allows you to make coherent crafting sequences like straw into twine, into rope, into fishing nets, into large nets, or unpolished shimmerstone into shimmerstone, into glass orbs, into glass bottles, into whatever fruit juice you're making, or wood into board, into wooden plank, into sturdy shield. These chains are very satisfying. As you level up and earn perk points, you'll be able to buy perks that let you craft more efficiently, earning bonus items. So a crafting chain that starts out with 10 unpolished emeralds can end up with 15 emerald rings. Well, not exactly like that, since it takes 2 unpolished emeralds and 2 stone to make 1 normal emerald, but 12 emeralds can absolutely turn into 15 emerald rings. Another key mechanic, the ability to hide craftable items from your list. You can craft garnets at level 43, but you need exploring 70 and a key from a long quest chain before you can collect unpolished garnets. Being able to hide uncraftable items or items you don't want to accidentally spend resources on is huge for quality of life. Once I went through and hit every single craft that used basic wood, except for the item that I need to make a ton of. Tedious, but in that circumstance, totally worth it for peace of mind. The crafting skill is very likely why I've gotten so deep into this game. I get a noticeable amount of joy and satisfaction from collecting pocketfuls of resources from different exploring areas, then coming back to my workshop and scrolling up and down to figure out the best way to combine them, making some items for quests, some for profit, and working to master my craft of others. Do I want to spend my stone on rings or tools? Does this steel want to become wrenches or swords? I'm overflowing with mushroom paste. What's a useful craft to spend it on? These 4 basic skills, farming, fishing, crafting, exploring, go from level 1 to 99, but a lot of veteran players say that reaching 4x99, meaning level 99 in 4 skills, is just finishing the tutorial. There are epic quest lines that start at 499, and more bigger quests that start even later, and 499 gives access to a quest area called The Tower that currently has 300 levels to climb, with many rewards to collect, including valuable artifacts that further boost your stats and improve your efficiency playing the game. But the real juice of farm RPG, in my opinion, isn't the skills and the text of the game, it's the skill of the metagame. Inventory management. When you start the game, your inventory is not just small, it's adorably tiny. 200 items could literally fit in your pockets. Okay, not literally, but inventory size is another aspect that fits in the incremental like tag. It accumulates by a magnitude, but not until you first unlock the storehouse on your farm. The storehouse can be bought for 3 million silver after farming level 20, but since it costs roughly 300,000 silver to reach level 20, because farm XP is primarily earned through money spent, not crops harvested, it is a whole increase of magnitude to add on the storehouse. And the 300k XP/silver is accumulated, not all at once. All that to say, you will eventually be able to grow your inventory size for free every day, but not until you've been playing a week or two at least. And how does inventory work? Inventory space in Farm RPG is not a universal bucket that all of your items go into, like chests are in most farming sims. Each item has its own bucket, and your inventory size indicates the max number of each item you can hang on to. Quantity in excess of your inventory size will end up in the void, never to be seen again. And until you spend gold, Farm RPG's premium-esque currency, on a perk called Inventory Monitor, there won't be any indication while fishing or exploring that you've run out of space for an item. I'll get to gold and perks next, just another minute or two. The thought of voiding items can be scary. A loss of resource, any resource, is a loss of value after all. But I also want to put in your mind that it's generally not a big deal. Unless you follow my bad example and ignore the warnings on the locksmith and open too many welcome cards at once, you'll mostly be voiding easily replaceable items. Still sucks, but more annoying than devastating. But still, buy the Inventory Monitor perk as soon as you feel comfortable getting it. Even with Inventory Monitor active, balancing resources can be a delicate operation. If I'm doing a lot of exploring, I need to be aware of what materials I'm collecting that are valuable but not relevant to my immediate goals. If I'm in Whispering Creek to collect garnets for rings, I'll be collecting a lot of striped feathers, so might need to stop by Ember Lagoon to get glass orbs to make red dye. And Ember Lagoon will also drop magicite, and my favorite place to use that is in Linked Lanterns. So I'll also want to spend time in the Small Spring for Aquamarine at some point, but Ember Lagoon and Small Spring in the same outing means a lot of stone, so I'll need to make sure that iron cups are in my craftworks to handle the excess. Oh, I didn't mention craftworks during the crafting section. It's the auto crafting add-on to your workshop. Unfortunately, it costs 100 gold even to get the first slot, then n times 50 for each slot after that, where n is the number of existing slots. 50 gold for slot 2, 100 gold for slot 3, etc. It gets pricey pretty quick, so I guess it's time to talk about the game's premium currency. Gold and perks. My favorite phrase about this aspect of Farm RPG is that it isn't pay to win, it's patience to win. Gold is the premium currency that can be purchased with IRL money. Pretty standard rates for in-app purchases. 10 gold for $5 USD, $225 for 10, $600 for 25. But I call gold premium-esque because you will also earn hundreds of gold in your first weeks from just playing the game. You'll gain that gold from achievements, things like adding buildings to your farm, reaching certain milestone levels, testing out various mechanics. This low-hanging fruit dries out eventually, but as you get deeper into crafting, reaching 10,000 made of an item awards a mastery and 5 gold. Crafting that item 100,000 times awards a grand mastery and 25 gold. The same rates apply to fish and crops. Some silver and 5 gold for 10k of each fish, more silver and 25 gold for 100k catches of each fish. These are lifetime stats, so it's fine to sell or even void items you're working on mastering. But really, masteries only become relevant when you're closer to maxing out all your skills. In between the glut of early game gold and the later game mastery gold, there's sporadic premium currency rewards from quests and other miscellany. It's not outrageous to expect to earn 1,000 gold in your first month of playing. And the main way to spend this gold is to buy perks from the farm supply shop. These are permanent upgrades to your skills, stats, and game functions. The in-game wiki has a tier list for these gold perks, and some of the highlights are things like Lemon Squeezer, drinking lemonade while exploring gives 20 items instead of 15, Forklift, +2 daily max inventory growth in the storehouse, or Resource Saver 2, 15% chance item is duplicated during crafting. Each week, 5 random gold perks go on sale, so it has become my habit to wait for Monday morning, see what's on sale, see if any of the sale items are clearly valuable or relevant to the bottlenecks I'm feeling in-game. If one of them is, I'll buy it on the spot, or try to earn extra gold that week to afford it. But if the specific perks I want aren't on sale, sometimes I'll buy 1 or 2 of them anyway to improve my quality of life, and sometimes I'll tough it out and hope that they come around the next week. Right now, there are 130 gold perks that can be purchased, though maybe 30% are largely considered useless. Don't invest in the seller or bank perks. But that still means it's a 50-50 chance that any given week will have a good perk relevant to where you are in the game. Granted, it might serve up Orchard Expansion 5 when you're looking to buy Orchard Expansion 3, or put Quick Craft back on sale right after you purchased it, so maybe a 30% chance each week the right perk will be on sale for the right price. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a gold perk tier list in the library, Farm RPG's in-game knowledge base, and it's a good starting place for picking your perks, but I don't agree with everything it says. We all have our playstyle quirks. For example, the tier list has Collectomatic 2 ranked at C tier, but I scraped and saved to buy it for full price during ATI, and it was hugely helpful in collecting specific items from my pets when I needed them. There are 4 items in the gold supply shop that are not eligible for these weekly sales, and all of them fall under the cap upgrades section. The cap upgrades allow you to pay gold to increase your inventory, stamina, or mailbox size. The 4th cap upgrade isn't relevant for new players. Inventory increases 50 at a time, stamina 25 at a time, and mailbox, the buckets where players send items to each other, 5 slots at a time. I'll talk about mailbox more in the community section, but it follows the same upgrade pattern to stamina and inventory. All of these cap upgrades are theoretically infinite, but the cost of each goes up by 15 gold with each purchase. Because this gets expensive so quickly, a lot of veteran players will advise against spending any gold to upgrade your stamina or inventory. And like I mentioned earlier, inventory does increase daily by 2 points. After you buy the storehouse for 3 million silver at farming level 20, it takes another 100 million silver to get your inventory to +10 per day with gold perks, and 11 billion to reach +10 inventory per day without gold perks. So buy the storehouse gold perks, Forklift 1 and 2. Stamina is similar. It does increase daily by 1 point after you unlock the farmhouse for 5 million silver at level 30. So my soapbox stump speech about buying inventory and stamina upgrades with gold is for new players to absolutely do it to a point. Buy a couple of each with the awareness of the percentage increase you're getting of inventory or stamina with all the gold you're spending, and how that balances with other gold perks you want to buy now or very soon. Going up to 300 inventory, a 50% increase, or 100 stamina, a 100% increase, can give so much more flexibility and breathing room. Use your own judgment, playstyles vary. There's another place you are able to spend gold, at the flea market. Don't. As a rule, flea market items are overpriced for the value that they offer. A bottle of orange juice that gives 100 stamina costs 3 gold, but you can get the same benefit by fishing 10 times in the forest pond, or waiting 30 minutes for natural stamina regeneration. Unique quest items are the exception to this guideline, but I agree with the conventional wisdom that buying fish, resources, and stamina items with gold just isn't worth it, or even specialty foods. Run out of perks before you come for consumables. Unless you're a whale, in that case, sing on, sister, sing on. Monthly gold! If you've stuck with this video so far, I hope that means that this is a safe space for me to admit that I've spent real money on Farm RPG. Each month I've been an active player, I've gotten enough stimulation, enjoyment, and entertainment from the game that it has felt like a bargain to buy the $5 monthly starter pack. At first I thought this was a newbie sort of starter pack, where you only got one shot at it when you first start the game. It doubly seemed that way since the $5 investment in the starter pack nets you 200 gold plus 2 crates of special items that each also contain at least 25 gold. That's at least 250 gold per starter pack for those keeping track. But normally a $5 expenditure is just 100 golds, no items. But no, everyone can buy the starter pack each month. Counting all the items and comparing them to the prices in the flea market, each starter pack really has a, quote, value of close to 1,500 gold, but that says less about the value of the starter pack and more about the inflated prices in the flea market. But I digress. Turns out the starter in starter pack actually better refers to the monthly event quest lines. These event quest lines have some benefits for newer players, but are largely enrichment designed for late game players with massive inventories who are gradually progressing through endgame quests. Patreon support is another monthly option, but $5 there each month doesn't go as far in gold as the starter pack. Patreon subscribers get other unique benefits, like bigger mailboxes and access to beta features at higher support tiers, but the best US dollar to farm gold ratio comes from monthly starter packs. Even still, paying money isn't required to get the special items from these monthly starter packs. The unique items can be earned fully in-game through completing daily mini-tasks called chores. Gotta hand it to a farming-themed game that's honest about the grind. Each day, you're assigned 5 tasks pulled from a pool of almost 20 task types. Completing each task awards ancient coins, a type of currency item, and completing all tasks in a day gives you a sticker on the calendar. Completing all your chores and getting stickers for 28 days during a month awards you with the box containing that month's unique and special items, including 25 gold. Paying money for the monthly starter pack gives 2 crates, doing chores gives 1 crate, so a diligent player who also tosses some coin to the dev team will have 3 crates of special items. Because of the surplus in the special monthly item economy, the other free-to-play way to earn that monthly supply box is to buy one by taking the gold you've earned in-game to Trade Chat. Community. Sorry noob, Trade Chat is only for grown-ups, is something you would never see somebody say in-game for one reason. Farm RPG is very direct about wanting its community to have a foundation of aggressive kindness, and the dev team builds the game in ways to encourage this. One of the 5 chat channels is called Help, and another is called Giveaway, and both have a steady stream of activity around the clock. In Help Chat, you'll find that very few questions scroll off the screen without an experienced player or 2 or 3 offering an answer. Even if you're just going to lurk, Help Chat can be a nice place to hang out, pick up tips, and get a glimpse of later phases of the game. Giveaways Chat, if accurately named, would be called Make-A-Wish Chat. Some posts are item offers or gamettes with prizes, but a measure more are from players looking for a little boost to reach their goals, or those players coming back to give shoutouts to their benefactors. Giveaway Chat also has posts from NPCs with limited use codes for free items. But chat rooms for trading advice and gifting items are the sort of community features you'd expect in this sort of game. Farm RPG adds what I think is something special. A bit ago, I mentioned the daily chore mechanic. One of the chore types that can be randomly assigned is sending a handful of items to someone else's mailbox. You can send it to someone on your friends list or an NPC, or you can scroll to the bottom of the home page, click the link that says New Players Today. That page lists all the accounts that have been created since the last server reset at midnight US Central Time, and at the top of that list are the players that are online right at that moment and have space available in their mailboxes. You can send anything that's giftable: resources, fishing bait, stamina items, or swing by the country store and get a stack of welcome cards. These are mini gift baskets that contain 2 kinds of seeds, 2 kinds of bait, and 4 crafting resources, 8 of each. Be aware though, these welcome cards can only be opened until you hit farming level 10. Above level 10, welcome cards become something relegated to the far dusty corners of your inventory, or, better yet, passed out to players that have yet to hit double digits, and the cycle continues. To sum that back up, not only does the game use the chore system to reward experienced players for sending gifts, it makes it easy to find new players that would benefit the most from a surprise windfall, and creates a special item bundle to be the currency of that windfall. So yeah, Farm RPG is a very friendly, community-focused game. In fact, one of the only Competitive features is a daily leaderboard in the community center, which is a once-a-day group quest that requires several million of item A to be collected in order for a handful of item B to be given to each contributing player. Newer players can contribute 1 common fish and get 3 treasure keys. Veteran players can contribute thousands of that common fish and will still get 3 treasure keys. But the top 10 contributors each day get to see their names listed on the donations page and the smug satisfaction that they participated in redistributing wealth. Sure, those big gifters might be working towards the Oprah achievement of donating 100,000 items, an achievement that has an award of 100 gold, but other players might have pride in seeing their names in the marquee, and I'm not going to knock them for it.
Tips and tidbits.
So, what do you think? Interested in giving Farm RPG a shot? Here come the tips and advice section, my top 8 pearls of wisdom.
Number 1.
To take best advantage of the gifts for new players, start your account at least 6 hours before midnight central time, and stay under farming level 10 as long as you have welcome cards on hand. So basically hold off on buying the orchard, the cow pasture, or the forest upgrades on your farm. Also empty your mailbox anytime you notice something is in there. Sending thank you messages is not expected or required, but could earn you extra gifts or an in-game friend.
Number 2.
Even though it's tempting to start playing without registering, just to dip your toes in and see what it's like, do take the extra minute to enter your email and create a password. It makes it much easier to take advantage of tip number 3.
Number 3.
Try out the game on mobile and PC, or Mac, it's browser-based. I'm not judging. Not only does each have its advantages, fishing on mobile, easier access to chat and the wiki on PC, but using multiple devices at the same time is not against the code of conduct, but multiple accounts obviously is. Some players have strategy for dual-wielding mobile and desktop to get better use of harvesting boosts or to simultaneously fish for stamina and use that stamina to explore for resources. I also like exploring on my laptop and crafting in the workshop on my phone to minimize switching pages in-game.
Number 4.
Use the information resources, even if you use your own judgment and do something different than what they advise. There are 3 main resources I have to mention, and first among them is the library, the in-game wiki. Some of it comes from the dev team, of course, but some pages in the library are made by the community and can be incredibly helpful in guiding you how to shape your playthrough. Secondary resource is an unofficial one and a separate site, the Buddy Farm Almanac. This isn't tips or a guide, but more of a GUI for some of the informational databases the game pulls from. You can see where to get items and what they can be used for, and see all stages of a quest chain all on one page. For any given element, Buddy Farm probably has more and less information than you'll find in the game itself, but it's incredibly helpful if you know how to use it. The third main resource, Help Chat. Help Chat Best Chat. On average, half of the questions asked are answered with links to the library, resource number 1, but if you don't know the patterns of the game, you might not know what to search the wiki for. Help Chat has impressive patience with frequent questions. The game also has a subreddit. It's not super active, but there's an interesting or informative post about once a week. There's a Discord. I've never been on it, but I do have an Excel workbook for keeping notes, tracking goals, and calculating timelines.
Number 5.
Here's one to keep in mind as you get deeper into the game. Play for today and tomorrow, maybe for next week, but don't play for a month from now. There's prevailing wisdom in the community about saving certain resources for optimal benefit, hoarding rare items for when you'll need it way down the line. But my stance is that those distant future needs should be balanced with the more immediate needs, whether for monetary gain or a non-optimized stat boost. Would you rather have triple your stamina now or wait 3 weeks and just double it? Another example, I asked in chat if I should spend 1 billion silver on upgrading a mid-tier pet or installing a new oven in my kitchen, and the overwhelming advice was to save it for an upcoming questline. I looked into that questline and knew it would take me weeks to finish it with no rewards along the way. Instead of heeding those experienced voices, I spent my silver. I reinvested it into pets and farm buildings to keep my operation growing, to support me doing more fishing and exploring in the short term, instead of just sitting in the bank. Maybe it took me longer to finish that questline because I spent my silver, but I had more fun and got to do more play by spending it, and I call that living my values. Besides, I knew how much silver I made on an average day, and that billion ended up being replaced many times over before I needed it for the quest.
Number 6.
Expect paradigm shifts. Be flexible in how you play. You will go through many eras in this game. There are some obvious ones that come after unlocking locations or farm upgrades. Unlocking Ember Lagoon is huge for quickly restocking stone, and buying the hayfield means you'll never need to explore for straw ever again. Other paradigm shifts have to do with the habits and routines you'll establish while playing. After 3 months, I'm gradually shifting from tap-based exploring to cider-based exploring, and it felt mind-blowing when I could finally be using large nets consistently without voiding fish. So you'll need to shake up your methods from time to time. You'll start out overwhelmed with resources that you can't use, only to be desperate to have more of those resources once you have crafting recipes that use them. Antlers and blue feathers, I'm looking at you. You may be utterly allergic to wasting resources early on, but find yourself gradually building an okay to void list, because even selling off sandstone isn't worth it. One paradigm shift that was especially noticeable for me was when I shifted from a crafting-based economy, making sturdy bows and lanterns, to a fishing-based economy, throwing large nets at the Pirate's Cove. What's the point of scouring 3 locations to make hundreds of lanterns if 10 large nets sourced from one location makes me 10 times the money? Game changing.
Number 7.
Make sure you're having fun. Farm RPG is great for little hits of dopamine, but if you play for more than a few days, you'll find quests that feel like difficulty spikes because they might take a week or longer or much longer to achieve. If you're focusing on the destination rather than the journey, or comparing yourself to other players, whether they started before you or after you, it can be a recipe for frustration and a bad time. Farm RPG does not want to cause you pain. It wants to tease you, not bully you. If you find the grind is doing bad things to your brain, put it down for a while.
Number 8.
Last tidbit, if you're gonna try out Farm RPG, you can use my referral code. It's in the description box below and on screen now. When you reach level 30 farming, decently easy and a few hours of total playtime spread out over however many days it takes you. But if you use the referral code and get to 30, you'll get a special gift basket with nets for fishing and fruits for exploring. I will also get a gift basket with nets for fishing and fruits for exploring, but those item rewards are worth a fraction of what my farm auto-generates every night. My true reward is knowing that I've spread the joy of Farm RPG. Well, unless you use my code and get all 4 core skills to level 50, in that event, I would get a decently meaningful reward. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
Other features.
I only want to get a little ahead of ourselves and briefly mention some of the other features I've found in Farm RPG, which is by no means all of what the game has to offer. Lightning Round. Cooking skill. Not one of the core 4, cooking was introduced a 1.5 years into the game's life. Meals give short-term boosts to things like XP, silver earnings, net efficiency, or building production. The prize wheel with no whammies, 1 free spin every day. Traveling Merchant comes once a week with a random stock that you can buy with ancient coins. Daily Vault, a number puzzle with free silver as a reward. Reward Temples, sacrifice significant quantities of specific items over time to earn spectacular prizes. Pets, you can collect pets, level them up, and they will bring you helpful items. NPC friendship levels, give gifts to your favorite townsfolk or to your least favorite. They all have their preferences and give rewards for hitting certain friendship ranks, including recipes. Wishing Well, toss in an item and see what comes back. Don't worry, there's a page on the wiki where you can find the odds.
Never tell me the odds.
Exchange Center, another way to swap common items for rarer ones. It's got a limited list of trade options that changes twice a day. Schoolhouse, you can try once a day to answer each trivia quiz and get items based on your grade. And finally, Red Book Adventures, 6 different choose-your-own-adventure mini-games, each with multiple endings that grant resource rewards. Oh, and because somebody mentioned it in chat, mailbox passwords. Don't worry, it'll make sense eventually. Plus, like I said, those are just the existing aspects I've personally interacted with. I haven't touched on the Raptor Fight Club, the Soap Shop, Buddy's Card House, or Borgen's Mercantile, or any of the beta features like Mining Skill and the Sugar Mill. Those are also in the wings. And on top of all of that, Farm RPG offers seasonal content every month whose difficulties scale all the way up based on main quest progress to be enrichment even for players who have been around for years. The concept is so familiar in-game that there's a wiki page called There's Always Next Year, because if you didn't collect all the pink jellyfish to trade for a sponge collectible this September, you'll be able to pick up where you left off next September. And I'll quickly mention that October is a great time to get into the game, because in the second half of the month, there's a special exploring location called the Haunted House that drops thematic items like jack-o'-lanterns and treat bags. I haven't seen it myself, being a newer player, but everyone in chat seems really excited about it, so I am too.
Critique.
To make this love fest a proper review, I'll toss in a few things that I don't especially love about Farm RPG. It's not incredibly technically sophisticated. Mostly this is charming, but it does have some negative quality of life moments, like not being able to scroll to the top of the page by double tapping the top of the screen on mobile, or not being able to navigate by keyboard in the browser. Like, to get back to the top of my workshop, when I've scrolled all the way down, I typically exit and re-enter the workshop. The PHP underpinnings means that pages don't update unless you actively refresh them, and sometimes background processes don't trigger as instantly as you'd like. Sometimes I find myself exploring faster than my auto-crafter can keep up, unless I keep poking it every few seconds. The UI and pathing around the app are sometimes annoying and just create friction while playing. Sometimes the back button takes you to your previous page, sometimes it takes you up a layer in the site map. When you have a meal active or there's a new announcement, it changes the location of everything on the homepage, so I end up clicking on fishing when I want to be exploring. It's annoying, but also whatever. It's a free game with a small dev team. The gameplay loop still has me in a chokehold. That's probably my biggest quote-unquote complaint. This game is too addictive. But that complaint dovetails with my greatest compliment. Farm RPG is what I do in my downtime instead of doom-scrolling on social media. Did I bury the lead? Reddit is no longer the first thing I open in the morning. Farm RPG is. I'm not reading the news when I take breaks or switch tasks. I'm peeping Farm RPG, rotating my crops, checking on crafts. This game is excellent at taking as much time as you give it, which sometimes leads for playing for an hour instead of 15 minutes, but there are rarely time-sensitive tasks in-game. The closest thing is meal boosts, and those are self-inflicted. Even if it's hard to put down, there aren't any consequences for putting it down. Checking in for 5 minutes a few times a day is still enough to make progress, discover new things, and gradually achieve all the goals that the game sets out. There's always next year. And with that, I'm going to wrap up my long-winded overview of free-to-play farm RPG. Thank you so much for watching or listening if you've made it this far. Like the video if I didn't totally waste my time trying to put a text-based game on YouTube, and subscribe to see what no-cost gaming experience I'm going to have next. I have pretty eclectic tastes, but I can guarantee that the next one will be a normal demo straight from Steam. And as much as I'd like to dive back into Redbrook and gather more antlers from the forest, the bunker is turning out the lights, so I guess it's a good thing I can play on my phone in the dark. So anyway, good night.